What is up guys, welcome back to the channel. And this video we're gonna go ahead and go over the things I like and dislike about my Nissan 370Z, specifically touring, but I'll talk about a few other models as well that you can pick up that you might like better that it comes with versus like my model right here. And you know, I've had my Z for over 9 years, possibly going over to 10, and I've never made a video like this. This is usually like a video that most people do in the beginning stages of getting a car, but maybe this will help you guys out if you're interested in picking up a Z, give you a little bit of pointers on things that I like, dislike, and hopefully gear you into the right direction of which one to pick up and things that you might want to look out for. So let's go ahead and jump right into the video. All right, so here she is. This is my 2009 Nissan 370Z touring model. I'll show you guys what the car looked like before I picked it up. So when I got it, it was like completely stock. Didn't have this front bumper on here. The wide body kit wing was completely stock, and it had like the shark fin in the front of the bumper, and it was like more rounded. And that's actually going to be the first thing that I dislike about these touring models specifically, and even the base model Z's, is going to be that the stock body on those cars does not look very well. And this is why I upgraded my bumper on here to this Weber bumper, because it just looks a whole lot better than, you know, the stock body one. So again, I'll drop down a picture somewhere on here of what the stock body looks like on this car. And the Z honestly looks like an egg when it doesn't have a body kit on it. I will say that. Now, once you add a body kit like this and you add a bumper that's really aggressive, for example, like the Nismo V1, the V1 bumper looks amazing on this car. It just gives it that nice slope and that racing look that makes it look a lot nicer. So that would be one thing for sure that I will say is I don't like the body style of the Z's when they're stock. But if you can pick yourself up a Nismo, even a V2, I personally like the V1 front bumper versus the V2. And then I love the V2 bumper on the back versus the V1. That's just my personal opinion. But if you pick up a Nismo, you won't have that problem with like the body kit. But for sure, a base, I will say that is my dislike. Obviously, my like is going to be that I can modify the car to make it look how I want, because there's so many bumpers out there. You got a Muse, you got Weber, you got Veris. You got a bunch of other bumpers that are available for this car that can make it look nice and also have an OEM look to it as well. A lot of them fit pretty good. As you can see, this one right here, it doesn't really have like any gaps. Looks pretty sick, and it makes it look really, really nice in the front. Now, going over to the second thing I dislike about the 370Z, and it's actually going to be the front end as well, and that's the headlights. Again, same thing. If you get a Nismo, they come with black housings. But if you have a touring model like I do, and even a base, they have chrome housings. And in my opinion, some people like the chrome housings, but a lot of people change them over to black. The chrome looks bad, especially when the yellow. It looks very outdated and ugly, and I would highly suggest updating them. Even blacking out the housing makes a huge difference. On mine, I blacked out the housings with some gloss black paint, and I went ahead and painted the little rings right here, those red, made it look a lot better, and it just makes a huge difference on the car. So that's going to be another dislike. Now, going over to the side profile of the car, there's not much that I dislike about the side profile. I really like the side profile. I feel like there's not a lot of cars that look just like the Z. Like if you see a Z out on the street, you know it's a Z. Like you can't confuse it with another car, which is actually another thing that I really like about it, is how different the Z looks in comparison to other cars. Like you can easily spot one, you're like, oh yeah, that's a Z, that looks pretty sick. And the design of it is dope as well. If you guys do a little bit of research when it comes to like the design of the car, they actually try to make it look more like a shark, adding those like aggressive taillights and headlights to make it look like it's actually going faster. I will say that the 370Z, I feel like, is one of like the better looking Z's out there. I do really like the 300ZX rear end, but I will say that overall design, the 370Z is the best looking one in my opinion, but you can make any car look cool. As for the back end, things that I dislike about the back, honestly, same thing, rear bumper. The stock one doesn't look very good, makes it look like an egg. I added a Nismo V2 bumper, At first I actually had a V1. I'll drop a picture of how I looked before, and I had a duckbill. That setup was actually pretty sick, but I had a V1 bumper, looked dope, added the V2 to accommodate my wide body kit, so it flows perfectly now, and it just looks badass once you add a body kit on the back as well. And the amazing thing about these platforms is you can modify them to look how you want them, and it's endless. There's like so much aftermarket support for these cars. It's insane. And when it comes to the space in the trunk, I can't open my trunk right now, but it's like, it's in the middle of a like and dislike. The trunk is not too small. There's a lot of space. Like, it goes all the way from over here all the way to about back here, so it's not bad. But once you start adding, like, you know, strut bars in the back and stuff like that, you're gonna lose a little bit of space. But I've taken this car to get groceries and stuff, never had an issue. I was able to put so many things back there, and you can even use the space over here in the back to go ahead and add some stuff in the back over there and work perfectly fine. So space is not too bad. Obviously it's a two-seater, so you can't fit too many people, so that's a dislike. But you're getting a Z. It's a sports car. It's meant to be a two-seater. You're not looking for a lot of space when it comes to this car, so that can be a dislike. And like me personally, I don't have like a lot of friends so I don't hang out with a lot of people, so I don't care to have like a bunch of seats in my car. But now that I'm getting older, I can't really use this car because now, you know, I have a family, so I always have my kids with me. That might be a like or dislike, is how many seats this car has. Again, it's a sports car. It's a two-seater. It's not meant to have a lot of space, but it is cool though. I do like the design of this car and how it's just like placed in there and everything. Like, it's very driver oriented, right? So like the gauges are facing you, you know, as the driver. This whole cluster right here, when you move the steering wheel up and down, it moves up and down with everything along with the wheel, versus, you know, just the steering wheel, which can be pretty annoying because I've seen that done on a few cars. My FX is the same way. Like, if I move this up, the cluster will kind of get blocked a little bit by my steering wheel moving up. So everything is its own design. So it's very driver oriented, which is really, really cool. Now, another dislike for me is going to be the, what do you even call these? Like the little door panels that go in here. As you can see, I painted mine red, but I had tan, and they got really nasty and bad. As you can see, it's doing it again right here. I worked on my car a lot. Every time I would put my hands in here with my greasy hands, I would get all of this dirty. So if you have the tan, it gets really nasty and bad over time. So that's another dislike. But if you have black, it's not going to be as noticeable. But you can paint them like I did, or you can wrap it, and it'll look a lot better. Other than that, when it comes to the inside, when we start driving, I'll go over that a little bit more. But the stock seats are very heavy, so if you have the opportunity to go ahead and upgrade them, I would highly suggest doing that. I have these Brom seats, which hold you extremely well. As you can see, it has this nice bolstering right here, but makes a pretty big difference. And if you have the heated seats with the electrical components, those things are like extremely heavy. I would say that's kind of like a dislike. The good thing is that it's heated and electrical seats, but they are very heavy. So if you're looking to turn your car into like a race car, that's not going to be something that you're going to really want, and you want to go ahead and upgrade to like a racing seat like this one right here. These are way lighter than the other seats. Now, one of my biggest dislikes of this car is going to be the fact that it has the time right there at the top, and then a time right here at the bottom of the screen. This might not be, oh yeah, this is not going to be a problem for you guys that don't have a touring model, because the touring model comes with this screen. It has the time 2 times. To me, that doesn't make sense. I mean, it would make sense for those of you guys that don't have a touring model and you have like the regular Z, because it has like this cubby. But if you have the cubby, that would be a dislike for me in your situation, because it just looks bad with that cubby right there. I would say, to me, that doesn't make sense. They should have replaced it with something else to make more sense. Like right now it has the temp right there, the battery. Maybe they should have added something else right there that would help out and like telling you if the car is okay, if there's any issues. I think that would have been something else to add instead of that. But I will say that I do like that they added gauges right there. It makes the car look a lot better and driver focused, which is another one of my likes, is a lot of the components in here are more driver oriented. I do like the fact that they have the oil temp gauge on there. It's helped me out a lot to find out if the car is getting hot or not. especially when I didn't have an oil cooler, that thing would reach over 220 temps. I kid you not. And that was when it was like hard. I was pushing it, it would get even higher. Now that I added oil cooler, when it's cold, it's like at 180. If I push it, I'll see it go to like 200. And then if I push it really hard, it'll go like a little bit higher. But for the most part, it's like right there. One thing I wish they would have updated is the coloring in the dash. The dash itself looks nice, but I wish they would have done like a blue. I feel like a blue or a white would have looked a lot better, at least in my opinion. Same thing with the screens right here. This is a 2009, so I'm wondering if for the newer models they updated that, or if it's just for my model where they did that. Because I have a 2013 FX, and I know the older models, they have, you know, the orange screens like this as well. So I wish they would have updated that as well on the inside. Nonetheless, I would say this area right here in the Touring model is pretty useful, and I do like it with the screen, but it doesn't have a built-in camera, which sucks. I mean, if you have the screen, you might as well put a camera in there. So I wish they would have added a camera. I feel like it would have been so useful in this car because it's hard to see from the back. I always have to peek my head out when I'm reversing. I'm going to a parking spot just to make sure, you know, I'm parking correctly. I have a 780. Your shift knob is horrible. Like, it looks ugly, and I upgraded mine to a R35 GTR shift knob. Huge plus. One of my favorite things inside of the Z, especially in the summer, is how well the AC works. Because the car is so small, it literally cools down everything so fast. And these vents, they blow cold AC right in your face. They position this perfectly where you're gonna get cold AC. I know, like in my FX, it's right here, so the steering wheel kind of blocks it, and then this gets really cold and my fingers get cold. But right here, it hits my face perfectly. So they position these air vents extremely well, where it's gonna hit your face directly. I will say that's one of my biggest likes regarding the inside of the car. Other than that, it is a nice cockpit. Now, a little detail that I do like is that they added the Z logo right here. I think it's cool that it's different from just like the Nissan one that they put the Z. I think that's pretty sick. It's a little detail that lets you know that you're inside of a 370Z. Another dislike is going to be the cup holder. So the good thing is that you can fit a Stanley, but you can only fit one. So I know in the newer Z's they actually developed another one right here on the inside, which is really cool, but only has one. And then you have like these little cups on the inside right here, which only fits like a really small cup, nothing too big like this. So it's a sports car, obviously, so there's a chance that you only may have one drink. Passenger can just hold theirs, or maybe they can fit it down there if they got like a small, but that would be somewhat like another dislike. All right, now since we were talking about the shift knob, let's talk about the transmission. Right now I'm going to talk a little bit more about the 7AT because that's what I own. And for those of you guys that have a 7AT, I will hopefully help you out by talking about this right now. But one of the biggest issues that I have heard or seen regarding this transmission is that it's laggy. 100% yes, it is laggy, but if you learn how to use it, it won't be laggy. Now, what I mean by that is if you have it in automatic mode, you are for sure gonna have lag because it's designed to just go up to the highest gear if you're not pushing the car. So right now I'm not pushing it. It's gonna be like in 7th gear. So if I switch it, see, it went to like 5, so it was on 6 and it went to 5. Now if you have it in manual mode, you can always be at the position where you want to be at and pull whenever you want. So if I have it in manual mode, okay, so right now, like, it has power there, right? Obviously the RPMs are too low, so just push it down. Now when I push it, the power is literally there. It goes. It doesn't have a lag. Now if you have it in automatic mode, you are gonna have that delay and that lag. It's like a second or two. Okay, so ready? I'm gonna push it right now. See how it kind of has that lag? And then I'll push it hard. It has that lag. So you don't want to have an automatic mode because then it's gonna lag. Now I'm not gonna sit here and say, oh, the automatic is better, it's faster. It really is dependent on the driver and if they know how to use it. A manual driver can be faster than an automatic driver if they know how to drive their car. Same thing with auto obviously is a little bit different. You don't have a clutch that you have to engage, but if you know how to use your automatic transmission, your car can be a lot quicker. This is a little bit of a talk for my auto owners. The transmission is honestly great, and if you want to own a transmission that's auto on the Z, there's absolutely nothing wrong with it. It has been great and I love it. Now, do I wish I had a manual? Yes. Now, the reason I say that is because if I want to make more power, you honestly have to upgrade this transmission, or get rid of it and go with the manual transmission, or go with the VR30 transmission, which is a different transmission and holds more power. So that's the only reason I would honestly get rid of this right here, is because I want more power. So if I would like to turbo this car, supercharge it, whatever it may be, I would have to get rid or upgrade this transmission, because these transmissions can only hold up so much power before they give out. And don't quote me on this, but I believe the main reason why is because of the torque converter. It can't hold up the power once you start going over like 450 or 500 horsepower. Now for my manual owners, I know that the manual owners, because I've seen multiple forums and also videos on the most common issues with the manuals, and the most common issue is going to be the slave cylinder. The issue with those is that it's inside of the transmission, so it gets really hot and it breaks. From what I've read online and what I've also seen, I know the newsies, they designed it outside so you won't have that issue anymore, but it's going to be a continuous issue for the 370Z because they're all built inside. So that is something that you will have to upgrade. They do have a few different options available, replacing with like a metal one so it doesn't break anymore, and that would be a good option for you guys, something that you would want to look into. I've heard good and bad things about the manual transmission as well. Some people have to get used to the manual transmission because it has a different like engagement from other cars that they've driven. I have heard really good things about the manual transmission, that they do last a really long time. Very strong transmissions that can hold the power once you upgrade the clutch. I'll talk about this a little bit more once we get to the engine and start talking about like performance and stuff like that. But I will say that one of my biggest likes, and I think the reason why a lot of people actually enjoy the VQs, VHRs, Ds, HRs, is because of how much modification there is that you can do to these cars. Like once you tune it, add a little bit of a twist, it's so fun. So you can't go wrong with the VQ. One like is how big this car is in the car community and modification wise. But let's go ahead and jump right into the engine and start talking about that. Now let's go ahead and go over the performance aspect of the VQ VHR 37. And one of my biggest likes about this motor is going to be the accessibility of how many parts or how much parts are actually available for this car. You can find a bunch of stock parts at a junkyard from other VHRs, and the accessibility is insane because so many cars come with the VHR. If you guys don't know, Infiniti has other models such as the Q70, the QX70, the FX37, M37 that come with the VHR as well. It's not just the G37s or the Q50s, but there's other cars as well that come with it that you can swap out parts for or get them from a junkyard if you need to. The only difference that you are going to see from older VQs is going to be that the older ones do not have a oil cooler, which is a housing that's like this big that goes to the oil filter, and that runs coolant through it in order to cool down the oil. So biggest like is accessibility of parts. You can find virtually anything for this car, which is insane, honestly. Some of the things that you guys may want to watch out for, like if you are looking to pick up a VQ, one of the things to look out for is going to be gallery gaskets. Does not matter what year it is. I have seen even new models have this issue where the gasket begins to separate and comes out of the gasket, which is like right in the front in here. You got to remove this timing cover to access it, and the gasket begins to slip out. The purpose and the reason for that is because the hardware begins to loosen over time, and that's why the gasket comes out. And then at that point, you will have oil pressure issues. So that's one thing that you got to look out for. Another issue that you're going to have with the VQs is going to be that they have a plastic hose that goes in the back that connects the coolant lines. You want to go ahead and remove that and upgrade it to a metal one or aluminum one. This way it doesn't break on you, because if that thing breaks, you are going to leak coolant and you're going to be stranded. So take care of that as soon as possible. Doesn't really take a lot of time. It is a little bit harder to access it on the 370Z because of that bar, so you will have to remove that. But other than that, these cars are pretty reliable. Luckily for me, I have not had any issues with mine, but I know it is a very big issue that a lot of EQs have later down the line once you have a lot more miles. I only got about 80K on mine, so I'm sure once you start getting to like 120 or above, you will most likely run into that issue. But if you can, you replace some parts, go ahead and take care of it. If you're like replacing the water pump, because in order to get to the gallery gasket, you also need to replace the water pump. So there's a lot of things that you can do in the meantime. It is a lot of work, and that's going to be another dislike for me, is going to be accessibility of being able to work on this specific model car, which is a Z. On my FX, I have a lot more accessibility to access parts. For example, the power steering pump, it's a lot more difficult because you got to remove the radiator fans and possibly the radiator right here in order to take it out for the power steering pump. For my FX, I have a lot more space. Like, there's a huge gap right there, and I could easily just take off the bolts to the power steering pump, which is like 3, slip it out, put the new one back in, put the hose back on, I'm good to go. As with this car, you got to remove a few more things because there's not as much space as other platforms. So I will say that it is a little bit harder to work on this specific car because of the space. It's a little bit more like scrunched up, but not a bad car to work on, honestly. It's pretty simple, everything's very straightforward, so it's easy to like work on the car, but accessing the parts is going to be a little bit more difficult. For example, headers are pretty difficult to remove on this car. Takes a little bit of work, but I feel like test pipes are pretty easy. I've never really had an issue with removing test pipes. The bolts do break, but it's not difficult to remove. But engines are very reliable, very reliable. I have not had a single issue with this motor. I believe I bought it at about 35K. It currently has 80K. Only issue I had is the fuel pump, which is another issue that these cars actually have. Is the fuel pump will go bad over time. I think it's the top hat that breaks, and you just got to replace it, and then you're good to go. But that's another dislike, is the fuel pump that actually broke on me. I think it was like within a month of owning this car, and I had to get that replaced. Luckily, I still had warranty, was fixed. Haven't had any issues after that. Everything else has been, on my part. I know that the O2 sensors went out, but again, this car's from 2009. Parts are going to go out. You are going to have to replace them. But O2 sensors are super easy to get to. But customization of the engine, another like for me. Like, you can do so much to this car. Right now, I just have long tube intakes. So I go all the way to the front. I actually made a video on that if you want to check it out. Made my own little custom intakes. They were still in. There were short rams, and I converted them to long tube intakes. So you can customize this engine insanely crazy. Like, you can add a supercharger, turbo, single turbo, mid mount, back mount, rear mount. I said back mount. There's a lot of things that you can do to this motor. You can change out so many things. Upgrading the fuel injectors, you can add GTR injectors, go to E85. You can also upgrade the fuel pump. Like, if it breaks, might as well upgrade it to a newer version. All this stuff right here can be switched out. This can be switched out for carbon fiber. There's plastic piece. You can add a cover right here to make it look nice. There's aftermarket coolant reservoirs that look so sick, but very expensive. I would like to get one, but it's too expensive for my liking. But this is for sure a car that you can modify crazy, and you can honestly never stop modifying it. Like, there's so many things I would still want to do to this car. For example, a turbo kit, supercharge it, but I'll make another video on that, on why I'm not going to do it to this car. All in all, the 370Z is a fantastic car to get into if you want to modify something, especially if you want to modify it insanely well. I do highly recommend this 370Z. The only sucky thing that I feel like will draw people away from it is space. 2-seater, can't take your friends, but then there's the Q50 available. Q50s are probably like the best VQs in my opinion. They have the 3.7, the earlier models. They have more space. You can modify them insanely crazy. There's everything available just like the 370Z, but more, because it's a four-door sedan, so a lot more people buy it. But it's an amazing car in my opinion. Again, been very reliable. There's a lot more likes than dislikes for the 370Z. And if I could redo this again, one thing that I would honestly suggest for you guys that want to purchase it, since I've had it for 8+ years, is if I could go back, I would for sure get a manual. And I'll make another video on this. This is the main reason I stopped where I'm at right now, is because I have an auto and I can't do what I really want to do to it without spending crazy amount of money. But I'll make another video on that. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, I have a lot more likes than dislikes, on my 370Z. It is an amazing platform, and I highly suggest it for anybody that wants to go into the VQ community. It's honestly a great car. I have had not a lot of issues with this car. Like I said, I just had the fuel pump issue. That was technically it, and it's been reliable. But you may run into a few other issues, like I mentioned earlier, the coolant line, timing cover, or the gallery gasket, things like that. So just something to watch out for. But other than that, it's an amazing platform that, one, is insanely crazy to modify. Like, I've done a lot of things to this car. There's still so much more that I could do. Like, I wish I could boost it. That would be like my last wish that I would do to this car. But due to my transmission, I'm not gonna push it that far. But I will make another video on why I would not boost it and why you should get a 6-speed versus an auto. But that is going to conclude the video, guys. I know this was really long, but I hope you guys enjoy it and helps you guys out. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell notification, and I'll catch y'all in the next one. Peace.